Welcome back to TVG. We're covering the Kentucky Derby Regional Report. We've already talked about Oaklawn Park, where they have the Southwest Stakes, as well as Gulfstream, where we have the Fountain of Youth, which we will be showing live on TVG. One more prep race to cover from this weekend, and we're going to Louisiana, the Fairgrounds, and it is the Risen Star. We have the top 3 finishers of the LeCompte, as well as 2 horses that are scratching from the Southwest Stakes. Todd, take it away.
And one of those horses is War Story, trained by our sometimes colleague Tom Amoss. You know, we were talking at the top of the show, Matthew. It was a big day yesterday with the announcement about TVG acquiring HRTV. So I went home. My family was abuzz with the news, and they said, "What did Tom Amoss say when he contacted you?" And I said, "Oh, I never heard from Tom Amoss."
Well, he knew he was doing the show this morning.
Oh, that's what it is.
He wanted to do live
catch up right now.
Yes.
Tom,
yes, he's a man for the dramatic.
Thanks for the no phone call yesterday. If Godolphin ever sends you horses, I'll just be crickets. I just won't even contact you and say congratulations, what's going on. But let's talk about War Story. You did make one right decision, although offending me as your friend. You made one right decision, and that was not going to the Southwest.
Let the man speak.
Oh, that's right. Tom Amoss. Tom, how are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you all?
Hi, Tom.
Where do I begin?
Wherever you want to begin.
So let's talk about the matter at hand, War Story. So let's just kind of go through the process of him going up to Oaklawn and coming back, and what that means to not only his training, but perhaps to his performance on Saturday. So War Story left about a week ago for Oaklawn Park, and the intention was to run on President's Day this past Monday in the Southwest. We got a breeze over the Oaklawn track that happened on February the 11th, and then the draw came, and the draw was very disappointing for us. We drew way on the outside, the 11 hole, and I think the quote was that, you know, the statistics from that post position going around the ground are you know, largely in favor of getting beat. It's so hard to win from out there. So at that point, with the forecast coming in, we decided to pack up and go to New Orleans, and we missed the weather. But you know, a couple of things you got to remember. A trip all the way to Oaklawn, which is about 7.5 to 8 hours. A trip all the way back. A missed work, because getting back here really didn't allow us to breeze this week. And a horse that took a little while to get back on his feet from the trip. So he missed a couple of days where he wasn't eating 100%. He is now. And all those things add up to, you know, something that in racing is referred to as a gray area as to how the horse is going to run. He's doing great. He looks great. His attitude is very good. But those things do concern us.
When you look back at the LeCompte and you're facing some of the same competition coming out of there, do you see a move forward?
You know, I do. I like a horse that overcomes trouble and shows something in a race. And I think that's what War Story did in the LeCompte, Todd. Broke poorly on that particular day. As a matter of fact, 2 of the last 3 times he's run, he has not broke all that well. And it put him in a bad spot. Behind horses, he was the widest of all, turning for home. He was able to make the lead at that point, but he couldn't sustain it, and he ended up being second. So that to me indicates the horse is right and ready to go, that he'll move forward off that race.
Yeah, Tom, just to follow up on what you're talking about in terms of the gate, hesitated start, bumped both sides. Watching the beginning of the LeCompte a few times, seemed like, you know, he got off a little slow. He was off heels a little bit and had to steady. What kind of gate work have you done with him because of the issues that he's had? Have you done a little bit more gate work with him because of the problems he's had at the gate?
Right. So that's a great question, because to the average racing fan, they're like, well, you know, take the gate and break him a few times. But what everybody has to remember is that anytime you work a horse from the starting gate, that is the most strenuous type of work you can put on a horse from a standing start. So we don't do that, and nor do many other people for that matter. But we do try some techniques at the gate that will make him want to leave. And one of the things that we're going to do with War Story for the first time on Saturday is a technique called tailing. We're going to tail him in the gate, which is what's going to happen is if you watch the starting gate, you'll see someone behind the starting gate, and he'll actually be holding War Story's tail from behind the gate. One of the gate crew will be doing that. It's a natural tendency for a horse to want to get away from that pressure on his tail. And we're not talking about anything that hurts. We're just talking about putting a little pressure on his tail. So it makes him want to scoot away from that. And so we're hoping that tailing him this time around will make a difference in how he breaks.
Tom, one more question for you. What is the weather forecast down there? Is that ever a concern with War Story, or do you think he could handle any type of track condition?
Again, a good question, because the forecast is a shade dicey for this weekend. War Story has handled those kind of tracks in the morning, and I certainly haven't worked him over that kind of track. We are calling for a little bit of rain, but this track down here at Fairgrounds, it really takes water well. It absorbs it well. It dries up quickly. Even some rain will still make for a track that should be considered fast, and by any handicapper, it shouldn't affect the way they play the race, whether you're a War Story fan or not.
Well, we are a War Story fan.
Can I jump in and ask Tom one more question? Todd lied. I have another question for you.
Okay, all right.
Because it sounds like, I just want our viewers to get this straight, that you miss a workout, you're not crazy about that, you don't like to travel back and forth from Hot Springs to New Orleans, that if this wasn't a Derby horse, if this wasn't a 50-pointer of the Risen Star, this is just another really good horse that you had, you wouldn't run this weekend.
Well, let me address that specifically. So, in the owner's point of view is this. We're talking about Ron Palucci of Lutz Racing as well as Chris Dunn. Their point of view is this: hey, if he's showing you something that says he's not going to be 100% this weekend, we don't want to run. So this is an ongoing conversation we've had for the last 3 or 4 days. Outside of what I've told you, in the narrative here is, does the trip back and forth make a difference? Does the miss work make a difference? I mean, look, you could have the same conversation with Todd Pletcher on his entry in the same race. He's up against the same thing. 2 big trips as well as a miss work for J.S. Bach, the 4-horse, who's going to be one of the favorites. And so you've got to look at the horse and see what he's telling you. In the mornings, all signs are positive. He trains well. He trains with enthusiasm. His color is good. By that I mean the color of his coat. You can't say with certainty that it's not going to be his day. And with that in mind, it's hard to pass up a spot like this.
Matt, do you see why I like phone calls from Tom Amoss? When I don't get one, I get off kilter and just upset. I mean, Tom, that was outstanding. As always, we wish you the best of luck, and thank you for the insight on War Story.
Good luck, Tom.
You guys take care. It's always a pleasure.
All right, Tom Amoss joining us on our Kentucky Derby Regional Report. Let's stay, though, with the Risen Star and talk about the morning line favorite, Imperia. Morning line favorite, though, at 7-2.
His dirt debut was really, really good. He loses the Kentucky Jockey Club Grade 2 event at Churchill, November 29th. He lost by a head. The pace was slow, 47-2 for the half mile. Who won that race? El Kabir in wire-to-wire fashion, earning a pretty good buyer of 94. And out of that race, El Kabir, who's on the lead here and was on the lead throughout, an uncontested lead, comes back and wins Jerome before finishing second in the Withers a couple weeks ago. I love the way this horse finished, Todd. I mean, obviously, Connection's probably thrilled with this performance being at Churchill Downs, but to really make things close late behind a horse at the time that was on everybody's top 5 list, or most people's top 5 list, at least in El Kabir. He's proven himself. He can handle the turf. He's a grade 3 winner on it. He needs pace up front. He should get it. St. Joe Bay, the 1 is very quick. Tisnow RJ is fast. J.S. Bach, who Tom was talking about,
I was just about to say,
some speed
5-1 right there.
Can I give you a price horse?
Yeah.
To wrap things up?
Who?
Bluff, the 3.
Ooh,
your guy Larry Jones.
I like that.
This horse had, awful trip in his debut, 1,000 wide in career start number 2. So bad trips in his first 2 starts. Finally had a good trip, January 22nd. Broke his maiden by nearly 6, could have won by 9. Kerwin Clark was putting no effort for it the last 16th of a mile. The horse is by Tappet, gets a little bit more ground, training very well since. I think he could be the now horse here at 12-1.
Big points on the line in the Derby preps from here on out. As B-Town mentioned, we leave the 10-point races and we move on to the 50-point races. And here's what we'll be coming up with. Again, the Southwest being rescheduled, the last of the 10-point races. But look what's ahead. The Fountain of Youth you'll see live here on TVG on Saturday. The Risen Star you're going to see. You can play it all at tvg.com. And don't forget about the Players' Road to the Kentucky Derby, a special contest that has not only cash and prizes, but the biggest prize, a chance for you to end up at the Kentucky Derby. That, B-Town, is our regional report.
Wait, before you guys go, before we go to break, I want to ask you guys, out of these 3 races, so we've got Oaklawn Park, Fairgrounds, Gulfstream, what are you 2 most excited to watch?
Okay, look, I don't want to sell anything short going to Hot Springs, Arkansas, but let's be honest, with that race being rescheduled and they haven't even, they're going to redraw today. We'll find out more about the field. Yeah, I think that sits 3rd on those races. I love how deep the Fountain of Youth is. I'm excited about Upstart, but clearly the Risen Star evenly matched group.
I think the Risen Star is the best betting race. The heavy hitters in the division are obviously competing down in South Florida in the Fountain of Youth.
I have to agree with you guys. I'm really excited to see the Risen Star. I want to see how good International Star is, sitting 2nd on the Kentucky Derby points list right now. So we'll see. 9-2 morning line odds. not the favorite. Imperi is the favorite. So should be an interesting weekend. Definitely go to tvg.com and place your bets because, as you can see, we have some amazing Derby preps coming up. So don't forget about that. And don't forget about the fact that we have the Players Road to the Kentucky Derby that kicked off on Valentine's Day, moves through April 11th. Bet the preps and earn points for your chance to win. That is a grand prize trip to the Kentucky Derby. That was your Kentucky Derby Regional Report.